and our guest lecturer and presenter is Mr. Ralph Ring, who is a brilliant, innovative technician and natural scientist. And he just recently gave our lecture, Teleportation Introduction. Now he'll be giving a workshop called Teleportation Intensive. Ralph will go further in depth with his experiences in developing flying disc and teleportation results that go far back as into the 1950s and 1960s. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ralph Ring. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, take good care.
Thank you. And thank all of you for coming to the workshop. If you're upstairs, I was just getting started into some things that I think you'll find interesting if you're interested in the deeper and more simple explanations of things that go bump in the night, etc. Let's see, I'll check my computer here, see where I'm at. Okay, yeah, the name of the book is called Tomorrow's Energy Need Not Be Fuel, and it's written by Arthur Aho. Arthur, A-R-T-U-R, Aho, A-H-O. And if I've got time and you'd like to see a copy of it, I happen to have one with me. It's upstairs. Oh, wait. Marcia? Where's Marcia? Oh, she left. It's in my computer bag here, and you're welcome to take a look at it and get the information off of it if you like. Anyway, maybe if I get into... Oh. There it is. This is the name of the book. I'm not selling them. I don't even know if it's in print anymore. I did see one on eBay about 2 months ago, and it's the only one I know of in existence. Tomorrow's Energy Need Not Be Fuel. Arthur Aho, Arthur C. Aho, and it's put out by, who is it? Alden Books, A-L-D-E-N-E Books, Post Office Box 55, Llano, that's L-L-A-N-O, Llano, California, 93544. If you want to take a look at it, sure. You're welcome. Aho, A-H-O. And his brother was he was our public relations man on our project. His name was Wayne Aho, Major Wayne Aho. He was a retired intelligence officer that gave up the pursuit of anything worthwhile in the military because they were hiding things and putting things under the table instead of exposing them to the public. So he got out and gravitated eventually to become our public relations officer to get the word out that there are many things that people don't know anything about that's going on, and we're paying for it and not getting the value from it. And so he devoted his life to the pursuit of getting the information out. He created later on in Seattle, Washington, the Institute, or what was it? I can't think of the name of it right now. He was on Mount Rainier, Washington, and he had a huge facility that invited inventors in and the people of different walks of life who had been able to free themselves from the conventional way of thinking and get into thinking for themselves. And one of the most impressive things I saw up there was a guy pulled in with I think it was a 67 or 68 Dodge Charger, and he pulled up the hood. There was about 5 or 6 of us standing in the yard, and he called to Wayne Aho, and he said, here, I want to show you what I'm running on. And he took us, he had the hood up, and this thing was a little vaporizer that was shooting kind of water into the carburetor. and we couldn't smell any vapors. And he said, no, it's running on water. It's water. And so he explained what he was doing and how he did it. And of course, we checked around, and all he had was water on board. And he was running his engine. And he said it's a simple matter of balance with magnetics and hydrogen, knowing what hydrogen, it was beyond me as far as physics goes, but I saw it working. So I knew there was another natural law that he had developed, and it was working. Whatever happened to it, I have no idea, but I was hoping that it would get out onto the market somehow. Well, anyway, I'll get back to my story. Let's see. Oh, wrong one again. Okay, well, I briefly showed this upstairs, the different devices. If it'll come up. And this, once again, is projectcamelot.org, if you're interested. And if you go in here to where it says interviews, I'm not on the internet right now, so it won't come up. If you go into where it says interviews, there's people like me. I think there's over a dozen people like me that have been there and done that in unconventional things that I think you'll find very interesting. I'm just one of a few. Okay, I'll get out of that. And let's see. I'm just going to run this through and let you look at it because I got a lot to tell you. And these I'm not that good at computers, so. Well,
just tell us how to build a spaceship.
Fine, no problem. Yeah, that's what you want to know. I'll tell you. Okay. All right. Let me run this on a slideshow. Now, this was an after event. If you want to know about it, and I got time, I'll tell you all about it. This was a spaceship replica that my wife and I, her name was Ruth. My present wife's name is Ruthie, coincidentally. I don't know how that happened. But we were in Prescott, Arizona, and we bought 12 and a half acres of land in a very remote area so that I could continue the experiments that I was working with Otis Carr. We had already got to the point of no moving parts, and you got them? Oh, thanks, Marcia. That's Marcia Brown, my assistant there. She, left hand and right hand and everything. Thank you. Hi, Marcia. Anyway, in Prescott, Arizona, we built this underground house. These are flashing on the screen now. I don't know where the mouse is. I'll do it this way. We went there to build spaceships, and we got into, we bought the land, and we had the stuff for the laboratory. We had the what few finances. I had retired at that time, which was one of many times from the locksmith business. I've been a locksmith supporting my research and development and alternatives for years. And we had enough money to start building small prototypes based on solid-state circuitry. That's no moving parts, digitally operated, etc. So we didn't have any moving parts. Well, we got there, and I might show you this. This thing out here, this is in Coronado Island, or Coronado, down by San Diego. And that, what you see there, is a form of a craft that a friend of mine, his name is Chris, and I don't remember his last name, and he is a good friend, but I don't remember, that had built this craft. He was an outstanding engineer of his day, and this craft would never displace over 6 inches of water, no matter how much tonnage you put on it. He could go up estuaries or up little small creeks. It would never draw any more than 6 inches of water. So he took it to Coronado and set it up and tried to get the Navy interested in it. And the Navy looked at it and said, well, and so forth. And he was there for several months. And they kept stalling him along after he'd already proven that this thing worked. And he parked it there, and it became the target of Saturday night beer drinkers throwing beer cans on, and this was metal, so it made a lot of noise, and he couldn't sleep because he was sleeping on board. And he said, okay, I tried to give this to people, it works, and nobody seems to be interested in it, and that's going to be the end of it. So he pulled it out of the water and cut it up pie shape and put it on a lowboy truck and took it up to up by Prescott, Arizona. It's up a little further, it's Ash Fork, Arizona. It's up by on the above Paulden, above Chino Valley, and bought 40 acres of land and hauled this thing up there and put it all back together. And he says, I'll just live here till I die or until somebody's interested. And I became acquainted with him, and I bought 40 acres adjacent to him on the next hilltop, because I was going to do the same thing with our stuff. Because in Chino Valley, when we were building the underground, oh, well, let me get back to that. When we were, okay, well, I can't find the end of this thing. Oh, there we go. In Chino Valley, we bought the land, and we went down for, we didn't, neither one of us had ever built anything in our life. And as I mentioned upstairs, I was just a machine gunner and a diver. So we were going to build this house. We went we wanted to build it on sacred geometry. And we went to different contractors, and they said, no, we don't work from a radius point. We work from squares and rectangles, but we don't work from a radius point. So my wife said, forget it, we'll do it ourselves. So she stuck a stick in the ground with a nail on top of it, tied a piece of string around it, and went out 45 feet, and with Bisquick flour, I marked 45 feet around the hill. And this was a pretty steep hill. It was about like this. But after marking it, we said, this is going to be our home. And we're going to build it on the same sacred geometry that we used building the spaceships. I'm going to just run this slideshow and go on and tell you some stuff. Oh, shoot. Well, it's in the slideshow mode. It should change. Getting back to Carr and consciousness and what goes on with that, Carr and I used to sit for hours at night and brainstorm, if you will, back and forth. And he said, the brain has its limitations, like I mentioned upstairs. And if you don't quiet the brain, if you don't be still and use your intuition, that's your gut feeling in some terminology. If you don't use that and you're using just your intellect or just your intelligence, it's going to keep running you around in the same circles forever. So he said, we've got to, we're going to do some experiments. And I told him that my job that I came here and wanted to do is to take the system out of the Flintstone era into the Jetson era, which means floating homes. Yes. And the simplicity to do that is all around us. And the only reason we're not there now is because we're hanging on to ideas that are antiquated. They're old-fashioned, they're old tapes, and we keep playing them over and over and over again. And we keep getting the same results. And that is maybe a new color of a car, a new type of radio, a new aerial, but not getting very far. Our technology keeps going around. We're getting the same thing over and over and over again. So when Carr was having trouble in Oklahoma, and they said, we're bringing him out, and we want you to meet him. You want to build floating homes, he wants to build spaceships, and we think the two of you ought to come together. And they brought him out with his entourage. He had about 8 people with him, engineers and different people on different levels of science. And they put us up in Apple. They put us up in a cabin at Lake Arrowhead. They said, you have your laboratory down in Apple Valley. We found it. Coincidentally, it was vacant. It had everything there available. Had a warehouse, machine shop, laboratory, offices, and just go down and go to work. Get these things off the ground. So we did. We went down, went to work on it, and after many sessions with Otis Carr, telling me how Tesla used to get his ideas, he would leave his brain go to sleep and use his mind to create everything. Because the brain can only go around in circles. As soon as you start a creative idea, a signal from your stomach will say, I'm hungry, and you'll stop. Or I'm sleepy, and you go to sleep. And you just go on and on like that. But if you get in a still mode, similar to what's called meditation, similar to what's called spacing out when you're driving, or just relaxing in a very comfortable mood with the idea of clearing your mind of any thoughts. There's a movie that I'd like to recommend, if you haven't seen it already, called Peaceful Warrior with, what's his name? Who? Nick Nolte, yeah. The best thing I've ever seen him do. And it's a movie to see because he refers to taking out the trash. And that's what your brain we could equate to trash. Because the trash being the same thing over and over and over again until it gets stale. And this movie will really inspire you if you look deep enough into the meaning of the movie to still your mind, still your brain, and get into the creative powers of your mind. And all this time remembering who and what you are, that's the most important thing. Because we're energy. That's what we really are. We're energy beings. We're all magnificent creators, each and every one of us. And I'm no higher, no lower, or no different than you guys, except a little more daring. I've been going out on the limb all my life, and I got so I enjoyed it, so I've learned a lot of things that a lot of people haven't had a chance to learn. And to equate that to a relationship between you and I'm just a mirror reflecting back to who and what you are. The difference is that I have learned, and a lot of my associates that I work with now have learned about teleportation in the essence of who and what we are. We are energy, and walking through walls, coming from point A to point B is simple. It's very simple. And I want to give you that technique and how to build spaceships because it's based on the same principle. When you, like the bumblebee I mentioned upstairs, everybody hear that story? Or is there anybody that hasn't heard it? Okay, the bumblebee was when I was in science class, the teacher said, bumblebees can't fly. And I was looking out the window and there's a bumblebee staring me in the face. And he said, well, aerodynamically they can't fly, because I questioned it. He said, no, aerodynamically it can't fly. And I said, well, this guy's staring me in the face out here. I think I'm missing something here. I'll go back out to nature, because I learned all my stuff from nature. I've lived in the mountains most of my life. I was raised in the mountains. And so I went back out to nature, and then I found Aho's book. I knew Aho. I met him. And he told me, he was the one that related that a bumblebee, give credit to your science teacher, he was correct. They don't aerodynamically fly, they levitate. And the way they levitate is they have a small hollow tube next to their larynx in their throat. And this is just a hollow tube, nothing in it, just hollow. But it's connected to their, however it's connected, I don't know, to their wings. And when they start beating their wings and they reach a certain frequency, equated to, in reference to what I'm talking about, the Earth's spin, which is 8.5 cycles per second, 8.5 hertz per second, or per second. Once you reach that resonant frequency and you become one with your surroundings, you neutralize your surroundings, you become free of that surrounding. And then you create your own magnetic bubble, in the case of the bumblebee, your own magnetic bubble around it, and he's free of this gravitational field. So, learning that, I went on to learn that hummingbirds have a similar thing. There are some lizards, believe it or not, that actually levitate. And there's little critters, there's little insects that I've learned levitate. So in studying those little things through National Geographic and beyond, I found that life is very simple. We just don't understand it. If you take the time to look into it, you can get a lot more out of it than ignoring it. So, I guess I'm back on that screen. I'm sorry. Huh? Hit what? Escape. Thanks. Thank you. Well, you can see I'm really well versed in computers around here. Yeah, okay. When we built the underground house, I'm jumping back and forth, but I'll let this go on a slideshow too if I can get to it. Escape. Will help. Exit. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find. Oh, view slideshow. Okay, I got it over here. Slideshow? Okay, click on that. Okay. Great, thanks. And maybe it ran through once, I don't know. But anyhow, I'll get to this house in a minute, because this is important too, because you'll see how it ties into the spaceship. But getting back to how do you build your own spaceships and how you do things, it's surprisingly enough, and you've heard this probably all your life, it's all in your head. It's all in your mind. And what that means is rising beyond the state of duality where you believe and you disbelieve, you're right, you're wrong, you're up, you're down. That'll go on forever. You have to get into a state of knowingness, knowing who you are, that you are energy, pure energy. And when you get that down pat, when you know that you're energy and not a body, then you, in walking through walls, and we did this in Prescott, Arizona with our small group, they wanted me to demonstrate how to walk through a wall. And it's simpler than you think. And even if I walk through this wall now, you probably wouldn't see it. That's because I'm in the know, and some of you are, and some of you aren't. The ones in the know would know what I'm doing and how I did it. It's simply a state of consciousness. That being that of resonance, like the bumblebee. And when I had mentioned to somebody about the cadence that we had to march double time to the firing range when I was in basic training, the bridge had collapsed because of our cadence, all in rhythm. We reached a resonant frequency of the boards of the bridge, and the bridge would collapse. So I learned more and more about resonance and magnetic resonance. And once you, like the bumblebee, reach a certain resonant frequency of your surroundings, and you're in harmony with nature, not forcing, not trying. If you're trying, it won't work. If you're doubting, it won't work. Or if you fear, it won't work, because that is a short circuit to ground. It'll ground you right back down to the third dimension. You have to get high enough in the knowing sense of the word to know I'm hungry, I'm alive, I'm sleepy, whatever. It's a knowing, and everything you do has to be in that state, and refuse to accept the doubts that may come in. So once you reach the frequency, and we had about 4 or 5 people in Prescott, Arizona, that doubted that this could be done, because that's where the word can't and won't and don't, they all have a not on the end of it. You know, can, not, won't, don't. And unless you untie that knot and throw it away, you'll always be stuck in that loop, back and forth, over and over. So I said, okay, it's simple. Eliminate the word can't and just say can. I can. And they say, yeah, well, we've tried that, nothing works. Well, okay, I'll show you that it does. And so we had a lot of people, well, a few of the people in the group that were really skeptical, because they said, yeah, well, I've heard that from gurus and everything else. And I said, okay, well, I'm just showing you a simple principle of nature. I'm not a guru. I'm not a magician. I'm just me. And I've been there, done that, and I'd like to show you how to do it. So I said, now, just clear your mind of the trash. I'm getting back to the point. Get all the ideas of how am I going to do this. And that's a solid wall. Don't think that. That's thoughts, and they'll block you. Just realize your energy. And the other room is, at this point, you don't know what's on the other side of that room because you've never been in it. Just clear your mind and relax. And we're going to go through the wall and come back. And they said, yeah, okay. Well, in just a matter of seconds, no more than a minute, I said, well, did you experience anything? And they said, well, were you crazy? We didn't move. We were standing right here. I said, okay. I said, when you get around to it, your brain will start recalling things on the other side of that wall. And they said, no, we didn't move. We weren't going anywhere. And I said, okay, let me put it this way. There's the speed of light. If I want to go to Hawaii, I've got to get on the internet, get a hold of an airlines, book an e-pass or whatever, pack my bags, get to the airport, check in, get on the airplane and fly for 6 hours. That's one way. That's the speed of light, if you will. I mean, equated to that. But there's a faster way, and that's the way you walk through the wall. And they asked me, well, what do you mean? And I said, okay, now still your mind and just feel this. You see the sandy beach? See the water? See the trees? You're there. You're already there. Because the brain will tell you you're here or there. But the mind knows you're already everywhere. We are collectively one being, if you will, one consciousness. And Hawaii is no further away than a thought. And if you feel that strong enough, just like walking through the wall, and just project, I'm going through the wall, you will go through the wall. Your brain might not catch up for weeks or months. And then finally you remember, oh, I remember the toothpaste, and I remember the shower curtains or whatever. And slowly, it's not me, slowly, and I've had people come back later and say, you know what? I do remember that. There was a pink this or that, and I said, yeah. I said, that's all there is to it. They said, well, yeah, but I don't, there was, I said, because you don't practice it enough, and you keep falling back into the box, the routine, the old tapes, or keep playing. So, well, that was an experiment, and that to this day, some really remember it, and some don't remember it. They just, that's the way it went. But the more you practice that, and take the trash out, if you will, clear your mind, the more you can do this. So that my travels now, and a